So let's dive right in. We're looking at Dr. Anna Lembke's book, Dopamine Nation, and it really tackles this massive question we all face. How do you find balance in a world that offers endless pleasure right at our fingertips? The book is basically a survival guide for the modern brain.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The book's most startling idea kind of flips everything we think we know about happiness completely upside down. It asks this pretty radical question. To feel happier, should you actually seek out pain? I know, it sounds totally nuts, but the science behind it is absolutely fascinating.
To understand that wild idea, we've got to start with the book's central metaphor and our first key takeaway. I want you to imagine your brain has a seesaw inside it, just like this one. It's a really simple way to picture a super complex process that's happening in your head all the time. Now, this isn't just a cute metaphor, it's based on real neuroscience. Scientists discover that pleasure and pain are actually processed in the exact same parts of the brain. Think of them like opposite sides of a scale. This whole concept is called opponent process theory, and the core idea is really simple. What goes up must eventually come down.
Okay, so let's see this thing in action. When your brain is just at rest, that seesaw is nice and level. But then, when you do something pleasurable, you eat some chocolate, you get a like on social media, you get the idea. You get this rush of dopamine, and whoosh, the balance just slams down on the side of pleasure. The faster and further it tips, the more intense that good feeling is.
But here's the thing, our brain is obsessed with balance. It wants to get back to neutral, a state called homeostasis. So it immediately kicks in this powerful self-regulating system to level things out. And the author has this brilliant way of visualizing it. It's like little gremlins start hopping on the pain side of the seesaw to counteract all that pleasure.
And here's the really crucial part. Those gremlins, they don't just level the seesaw. They actually overcorrect. The balance tips an equal and opposite amount to the side of pain. This feeling, this is the come down. It's the hangover. It's that intense craving you feel for just one more hit, one more scroll, one more bite. That is your brain in what's called a dopamine deficit state. Now, for thousands and thousands of years, this system worked perfectly fine, mainly because pleasure was pretty hard to come by. But our modern world, it completely broke the system. And that brings us to our second big takeaway. We are, quite literally, drowning in dopamine. This quote from the book just puts it perfectly. We are cacti in the rainforest, drowning in dopamine. Our brains evolved for a world of scarcity, like a desert where rewards were few and far between. But now we live in a jungle of constant, high-reward stimulation. Our wiring just isn't built for this. And just look at the sheer scale of this problem. This chart shows the dopamine spike over our normal baseline level. A piece of chocolate gives you a nice little 55% bump. But look at the far end of the scale. A substance like amphetamine creates a mind-blowing 1,000% increase. I mean, that's not just tipping the seesaw, that's dropping a bomb on it. So what do you think happens when we're constantly, day after day, slamming the pleasure side? Well, our brain adapts. The pain gremlins, they get bigger, they get stronger, and more of them show up. Eventually, they don't just jump on the seesaw anymore. They set up camp. They move in with their U-Hauls and their little barbecues, and they permanently weigh down the pain side. Our entire baseline, it shifts. And this leads to the central, really cruel paradox of all of this. The relentless pursuit of pleasure, chasing that high over and over, leads to its exact opposite, something called anhedonia, which is the inability to feel pleasure at all. We end up chasing these massive highs until we can no longer appreciate the simple, little joys that once made us happy.
Okay, so that's all a little bleak, right? If our balance is broken, how in the world do we fix it? Well, this brings us to our third and final takeaway, the practical strategies for actually resetting your balance. The book basically lays out two main paths. The first one is probably what you'd expect, abstinence, which is just stopping the dopamine flood. The second path, though, is that really counterintuitive idea we started with, hormesis, or intentionally embracing healthy forms of pain.
So the logic of a dopamine fast is pretty simple. By abstaining from some high-reward behavior for a while, let's say a month, you give those pain gremlins a chance to get bored, pack up their stuff, and leave. Your seesaw returns to a level baseline, and that restores your ability to enjoy simpler, everyday rewards again. But then, there's the more radical path. Instead of just waiting for the pleasure side to empty out, what if we were to intentionally press on the pain side? This is the whole concept of hormesis, using things like intense exercise, or ice baths, or even intermittent fasting to introduce a little bit of mild, manageable discomfort.
And this is the truly amazing part. When you intentionally press on the pain side, your brain's balancing mechanism kicks in. But this time, the gremlins jump on the pleasure side to balance things out. So instead of chasing some external hit of pleasure, you're actually triggering your body's own internal reward system. And the result is a much more stable and lasting sense of well-being.
So after all that, what does this mean for you? What's the next move here? Let's just put it all together one more time. The core idea is this. Your brain is hardwired with this pleasure-pain seesaw to keep you in balance. But our modern world has completely flooded the pleasure side, leaving a lot of us stuck in a state of craving and pain. The path back to balance involves resetting that seesaw, either by starving the pleasure side for a bit, or, incredibly, by intentionally adding some weight to the pain side.
So that really leaves us with the most important question of all, doesn't it? How do you actually apply this to your own life, to your relationship with your phone, or your diet, or your daily habits? Understanding the why is that crucial first step. And for the how, the book Dopamine Nation is really the manual that can help you take back control of your own seesaw.